72 hours without sleep is the exact moment your brain decides that reality is merely a suggestion. You might think pulling a triple all-nighter is just a matter of extra coffee and some heavy eyelids, but by the third day, the person staring back at you in the mirror isn't really you anymore. They're a biological glitch, a collection of firing neurons that have forgotten how to tell the difference between a shadow on the wall and a predator in the room. To understand why your mind is about to snap, we have to look at the sleep debt. Most of us think of sleep like a battery. You drain it, you recharge it. But in reality, sleep is more like a janitorial crew. Every hour you're awake, your brain cells are pooping out metabolic waste called adenosine. When you sleep, the glymphatic system turns on the fire hoses and flushes that sludge away. When you stay awake for 72 hours, you aren't just tired. You are literally drowning in your own brain's trash.
Day 1. You've been awake for 24 hours. Surprisingly, you feel great. You're chatty, you're productive, and you feel a weird sense of buzzing euphoria. This is the ultimate biological prank. Because your brain realizes you aren't sleeping, it assumes there must be a life or death reason for it. Maybe a tiger is stalking you. To help you survive, your brain floods your system with dopamine and cortisol. It's running hot. This is the honeymoon phase. Your reward system is overstimulated, making everything seem funnier and more exciting than it actually is. But biologically, you're already a mess. Your hand-eye coordination at 24 hours is statistically identical to someone who is legally drunk. Your glucose metabolism is slowing down, meaning your brain is starving for fuel, even if you've just eaten. If you've ever felt that weird, shaky second wind during a long night, like this video, because that's your body's last-ditch effort to keep the lights on before the darkness starts creeping in.
So, by hour 36, the honeymoon is over, and the input bias kicks in. To understand what's happening inside your skull right now, I spent hours digging through 1960s sleep deprivation studies and modern military survival manuals, so you don't have to. What they found is terrifying. Your brain starts microsleeping. Without your permission, parts of your brain will simply turn off for half a second to 5 seconds at a time. Your eyes are open, you're standing up, but for 3 seconds, you are functionally dead to the world. The invisible damage is mounting. Your inflammatory markers are skyrocketing. Your heart rate is climbing because your sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight switch, is stuck in the on position. You're no longer just tired. You're under attack from the inside. Your body is desperately trying to heal tissues that can only be repaired during deep sleep. But since the doors are locked, the repairs are being skipped. Imagine trying to fix a highway while 100,000 cars are still driving over the wet cement. That's your heart and lungs right now. At 48 hours, the world starts to lose its edges. This is where the sensory distortion begins. Because your brain is so starved for data and so buried in metabolic waste, it starts to misinterpret signals. The peripheral vision is the first thing to go. You'll see shadow people darting in the corners of your eyes. You'll turn your head to look, and they'll vanish. This happens because your brain's internal modeling system, the part that predicts what the world looks like, is failing. It's guessing. And because you're in a high-stress state, it's guessing that the shadows are threats. Your speech starts to slur. You forget the names of common objects. You might look at a stapler and call it a paper biter. Your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, has basically gone on strike. You are now operating almost entirely out of your amygdala, the primitive, lizard part of your brain that only knows how to be afraid and angry.
Welcome to 72 hours. You have reached the breaking point. If your body was an engine, the check engine light has burned out. The oil is thick as tar, and the pistons are screaming. At this stage, you aren't just seeing shadows anymore. You are experiencing complex hallucinations. You might see a giant bird sitting on your kitchen table,
or hear someone calling your name from an empty room. This is because your brain is now so desperate for REM sleep that it has started dreaming while you are wide awake. The barrier between the dream world and the physical world has dissolved. The running hot concept is now a literal danger. Your body temperature is dropping because you can no longer regulate heat. Your immune system has effectively surrendered. If you caught a common cold right now, your body would struggle to fight it off. But the real horror is the dissociation. At 72 hours, many people report feeling like they are watching themselves from a distance. You lose the sense of self. You might look at your own hand and feel like it belongs to a stranger. This is the brain's way of protecting itself from the trauma of being awake. It's trying to disconnect the user from the hardware.
Before we see if your mind can ever truly recover from this 72-hour nightmare, hit subscribe to keep your own neurons firing in the right order.
So, you finally hit the pillow after 3 days of torture. What happens next? You don't just make up the 24 hours of sleep you missed. Sleep doesn't work like a bank account where you can just deposit the missing hours. When you finally go under, your brain enters a state of REM rebound. It skips the light sleep and dives straight into the deep hallucinatory dream states, trying to perform 3 days of maintenance in one night. You'll likely experience night terrors or sleep paralysis as your brain struggles to resync your muscles with your mind.
For most, a few days of heavy rest will fix the immediate fog. But studies on chronic sleep deprivation suggest that glymphatic failure, that buildup of brain trash, might leave behind permanent scars. There is a growing link between long-term sleep loss and the development of tau proteins, the same stuff associated with Alzheimer's disease. You might feel fine a week later, but a tiny piece of your cognitive ceiling has been lowered forever. The human body is a marvel of engineering, capable of surviving car crashes and climbing Everest. But it was never designed to exist without the nightly reset. You are a biological machine that requires a period of non-existence every 16 hours just to remain you. If you had to choose between 72 hours without sleep or 72 hours without food, which do you think would break your mind faster? Let me know in the comments, and try to get some rest. Your brain trash isn't going to take itself out.